Hello, everyone. It is our favorite time of year, for some more than others. It is Oscar season. Later this week, the Oscar nominations are going to be coming out. And as always, I'm going to be coming on here and predicting who I think are going to be nominated while also listing out my personal picks for the Academy Awards. You understand the idea. If you're someone who follows this channel, you probably are interested in the Oscar race. So let's hop over to my computer and we are going to talk about these two columns that I have right here. Obviously, in one, we have my picks, and in the other, we have my predictions. And then over here on the left, we have the category that we are going to be talking about. I'm not doing every single category in the Oscars. I'm not doing things like, say, documentary short, for example, or animated short, or things like that. I'm mainly sticking to the heavy hitters. So score, sound, cinematography, adapted screenplay, original screenplay, supporting actor, supporting actress, actor, actress, director, and the big kahuna, best picture, right there. We are going to kind of go from bottom to top, starting with score. And you can see I have these squares redacted. So if I click on one of them, we can reveal what my picks for best score are. And so I'm going to do that just like this. Bam. My picks are Marty Supreme, Sinners, One Battle After Another, Train Dreams, and Begonia. Now, let's just get this out of the way. When I say my picks, these are just, if I had it my way, this is exactly how the Oscars would be, the Oscar nominations would happen. It would be Marty Supreme, and it is pretty much a ranked list. When we get to my predictions, we'll see it's sort of me picking who I think is going to win at the number one slot. For me, Marty Supreme's score by Daniel Lopatin was phenomenal, and I'm even currently listening to it in my my regular everyday life. The Sinner score by Ludwig Göransson is also phenomenal. Of course, we have Johnny Greenwood for One Battle After Another. The score for Train Dreams by Bryce Dessner of The National, I think is incredible. We'll see when I get to my predictions if I think it'll get in there. I am maybe not so convinced. But then we have Jerskin Fredericks' score for Begonia, which I thought was incredible. Honestly, this should maybe be like above One Battle After Another. The One Battle score, I feel like, has kind of been getting mocked a little bit. So I saw like a Melissa Villaseñor video or TikTok or something where she was mocking it a little bit. She was like, and I was like, well, she's not entirely wrong. Let's see what my actual predictions are. So I have Marty Supreme and Sinners in One Battle being nominated, as well as Begonia. The only outlier, I swapped out Train Dreams for Frankenstein. I think Frankenstein is going to be fairly represented at the Oscars this year. And we'll see as we go along. I think that there's going to be more nominations. Let's move on to sound. This one I have pretty strong opinions about, especially regarding my pick for who should win. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. I have Warfare as easily my top contender in the sound category. The sound in Warfare is like at least a third of the reason why you should see Warfare. You should watch it in an environment where you have good sound quality. Sinners is also phenomenal. The song, when I say the song, I think you all know what I'm talking about. There's one song in particular that really stands out, and it's probably one of the best scenes in any movie in 2025. But the sound during that scene and just throughout the entire movie was phenomenal. F1, I do think we shouldn't underestimate F1. I do think it is going to pop up here and there, mostly in the technical categories. But, you know, it was a big blockbuster, big sort of like cross promotion between sports and movies. And we do know that Hollywood particularly loves that. One Battle After Another I threw in here. Honestly, it's probably going to make it into most of these categories here. And I have Avatar Fire and Ash, which is a movie that seems to have come and gone pretty quickly, kind of like Wicked for Good. A lot of people are kind of just like dismissing it outright, being like, it's not really going to get anything. But I do in particular think that the sound was very, very well done in Avatar, just like the special effects, which it will no doubt be nominated for. If we go to my predictions, We have Sinners, One Battle After Another being represented, F1, Warfare, so 4 out of the 5 from my picks. But then I'm throwing in Mission Impossible. I'm kind of maybe predicting that Avatar Fire and Ash will get brushed aside, and Mission Impossible, because of maybe the Tom Cruise of it all. He's obviously very Academy Awards friendly. I do think the Mission Impossible will not be forgotten by the Academy, in particular in the sound category and maybe some of the other stuff. Let's move right along to cinematography. Now, let's take a look at some of my picks, in my personal picks, for who should be nominated in cinematography. We have Train Dreams, and I did do 7 here, even though there's, of course, only going to be 5 nominees. But we have Train Dreams, which was the cinematography was done by Adolfo Veloso. I found it absolutely stunning. I think it is one of the most beautiful films, beautiful looking films, and most beautiful films of 2025. You would know if you saw my favorite films of 2025 video. We also have the cinematography for Sinners, which was done by Autumn Arkapaw. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It was phenomenal, shot in IMAX. And if you saw the behind the scenes videos or any of the sort of the videos that Ryan Coogler was doing, where he was talking about film stocks and different film formats and things like that. I mean, that was a very sort of cinematography forward movie in many respects, and used a lot in the marketing of it, which I thought was smart. Begonia, I think, looks phenomenal, shot in VistaVision, shot by Robbie Ryan, a known collaborator of Yorgos Lanthimos. We have No Other Choice, which anyone who sees this movie would probably agree that Kim Woo Hyung's, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, cinematography in No Other Choice is just kind of on another level, mixed in with the editing. I don't have editing as a category here, but the cinematography in No Other Choice is really, really striking and really, really interesting. And it never really lets your eye settle in one place. There's always something fun to look at. I, of course, have to throw in Darius Kanji's cinematography for Marty Supreme. I really think it's absolutely stunning work, and sort of like subtly stunning work. I think a lot of people see like fast handheld camera work and they think that it's easy, but Darius Kanji is absolutely a master at his craft and has been for decades now. I threw in 2 extras here. Ballad of a Small Player, I think, is a movie that everyone is going to forget about if they haven't already forgotten about it. But I do think the cinematography by James Friend is really, really good in this movie. If nothing else, I think this movie is sort of a visual feast. The Testament of Anne Lee is another one that it's probably going to be in the Iron Claw slot this year, where we're going to maybe look back and say, why didn't we nominate this for more awards? We'll see when we get up to Best Actress, my thoughts on that. But the cinematography by William Rexer was really, really well done in Testament of Anne Lee. I did get to see a 70 millimeter projection of it. And I will say that my projection of it maybe was on the darker side. But even taking that into consideration, I thought the film looked pretty phenomenal. Let's look at my actual predictions for this. We have Sinners, which is a no-brainer. One Battle After Another, which is a no-brainer. Frankenstein, like I said, I think will be represented pretty heavily in many of these categories. Train Dreams and Hamnet. I think Hamnet also is one of those ones, as we get further along the list, we are going to be seeing pop up again and again. The cinematography for Hamnet was done by Lucas Zal. I hope I'm pronouncing that, or Lukasz Zal, which I really did think looked phenomenal. It could have maybe gone into my picks. Frankenstein, I'm iffy on. Guillermo del Toro's movies always have a very striking look to them. And in terms of like setting yourself apart from maybe some of these other films, I think Frankenstein does a great job of making itself stand out. But that could very much be the sort of like production design having a lot to do with that, makeup and hairstyling, costuming, all of that stuff. But the cinematography is really good. And I do think we will see it in this category. Let's move on to adapted screenplay. Okay, so for my picks, I have Train Dreams, Wake Up Dead Man, No Other Choice, Bugonia, One Battle After Another, and Hamnet. In particular, Train Dreams, you would know if you saw my favorites of the year video. Train Dreams was, I think, maybe my fourth favorite film of 2025. So that's why it's popping up in a lot of these categories. I really was just floored by that movie. Wake Up Dead Man, I think it was a phenomenal addition to the Rian Johnson Knives Out universe. No Other Choice is an adaptation of a Donald Westlake, I think, short story or novel. Someone correct me in the comments on which one that is. Bugonia I really, really want this to be nominated here because this is an excellent example of adaptation. So Begonia, for many who don't know, and it seems like they kind of hid this in a lot of the marketing, is a remake of a Korean film from the early 2000s called Save the Green Planet, directed by Jang Joon-hwan. Weird to me that they didn't make that a bigger deal and that they didn't try to get more people to see Save the Green Planet. But it was so fascinating seeing Bugonia having such familiarity with Save the Green Planet and saying, oh, I wonder how they're going to tackle some of these things. And it's a fairly one-to-one comparison between the two, or adaptation between the two, but with just crazy different style and tone. Yorgos Lanthimos really, really injects a lot of himself and his tone and style into it. And if you go see Save the Green Planet, it's a total night and day difference, but primarily telling the exact same story with the exact same ending. One hits you a little bit differently than the other one. So I urge people to check out Save the Green Planet, directed by Jang Joon-hwan. One Battle After Another, adapted from Thomas Pynchon, and Hamnet, I do think, I have it a number 6 slot here, so maybe that would take the slot of maybe a No Other Choice or a Wake Up Dead Man, or even a Train Dreams. I don't know, maybe that we'll see. But let's look at my actual predictions. I have One Battle After Another in Hamnet, Begonia, No Other Choice, and Frankenstein yet again. I really don't think we should be, what happened here? I don't think we should be underestimating Frankenstein in many of these categories, even if it's a film that I personally was not crazy about. I don't even know if it cracked my top 20. I do think that we are going to see it come nomination day. Let's look at original screenplay and see what my picks are. This is a controversial one. I have Jay Kelly up at number 1 here, and then Weapons, Sorry Baby, Blue Moon, and Sinners. Okay, so it's no secret that Jay Kelly was my number 2 favorite movie of the year. I deliberately kind of left it off a lot of these categories just because I was trying to be a little bit realistic about this. I was like, okay, is Jay Kelly going to get into Best Actor? Probably not. So we'll see that when we get up there. I put it in original screenplay because I really, really, of the things I love about that movie, I think the screenplay is probably number 1. I think it looks great. I think it sounds great. I think the performances are all wonderful, but I would take the screenplay over all of those other things. So I put that in here. I also have Weapons, which was a sleeper hit of the year screenplay wise, along with Sorry Baby, and maybe even Blue Moon. These are really kind of personal picks that I would love to see nominated. And Sinners, which we'll see. Let's just go over to my predictions and see that I have Sinners in there pretty squarely at number 1. A Sentimental Value. It was just an accident, a film that I have not seen, but and maybe it won't end up making the list here. Thinking this over kind of live, it was just an accident. Seems to be waning a little bit in favor of The Secret Agent, and I'm wondering if maybe I can replace this with The Secret Agent. Maybe we'll just write a little slash in here because, as the awards kind of get more international, I would not be surprised to see, especially a film from Brazil. We know from last year's I'm Not Here, I'm Still Here. God, I'm going to get shit for that. I'm Still Here. That was the name of it, right? We know from last year that Brazil has a very strong contingent of people, and they are able to get things in the Oscar race. And we just saw Wagner Moura get a nomination or get a win for the Golden Globes. And I would not be surprised if maybe The Secret Agent comes swooping in here. So I definitely made this list before the Golden Globes. So The Secret Agent might swoop in there and get this. It was just an accident slot. Marty Supreme, I am hopeful. That probably should have been in my picks over here, but I was trying to stick to the 5 nominees. And Weapons, I think, might swoop in there. There is an argument to be made that Sorry Baby gets in there over Weapons just because the Oscars tend to be pretty horror film averse. So maybe Sorry Baby gets in there. Also, shout out to that moment with Julia Roberts and Ava Victor that really warmed my heart at the Golden Globes. But yeah, those are my picks and my predictions for Best Original Screenplay. Now we get into the acting categories, starting with Supporting Actor. These are my picks, my personal picks for Best Supporting Actor. Paul Mescal. I have Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly, again, a movie that I love. Miles Caton, or Caton, someone I don't really hear too many people talking about, but his performance in Sinners was phenomenal, especially as a newcomer to the world of acting. I think he was really, really wonderful, and also adding in like a musical element to it. Really just wonderful. I threw in Jacoby Jupe from Hamnet, because he absolutely fucking destroyed me. And for such a young performer to pull off a performance like that was really wonderful. And I could say the same thing about his brother Noah Jupe as well, maybe even side by side in there. I put Josh O'Connor in Wake Up Dead Man, which feels like a little bit of category fraud because he's kind of the main actor, the main character of that movie. But you know that if they were to submit him, he would be in Best Supporting Actor. And then we have David Johnson for The Long Walk, which The Long Walk, of course, is not going to get any nominations, most likely. I mean, maybe something in the technical categories, maybe like a sound design or sound editing or just a sound award or something. But David Johnson's performance in that alongside Cooper Hoffman really, really is part of what makes that movie so impactful. This is a bit of a pipe dream list right here. Let's see what I have for my predictions. I have Sean Penn. You notice I left Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro off of that. I'm not as thrilled with their performances as everyone else is, but hey, that's neither here nor there. Sean Penn, Stellan Skarsgård, who just won the Golden Globe, Paul Mescal, Benicio del Toro, and Jacob Elordi. Once again, Frankenstein, I do think, is going to get more nominations than people are actually predicting. If I had to guess, there's a real argument to be made that Sean Penn and Benicio cancel each other out, or they split the vote because people will be looking at one battle and being like, oh, I can't pick between these two or whatever. And they will kind of split the vote there. Stellan Skarsgård, I think, might come away with it, even though that's a film that I'm not crazy about. And even really a performance I'm not entirely crazy about. I would call, if I had my pick in here, I would go Paul Mescal over any of these others. But yeah, that might be sacrilegious to say given the amount of overwhelming love for one battle after another. But yeah, I do think that these will be our nominations come nomination day. Let's look at supporting actress. This is a really fascinating category here. My personal rankings and picks for this would be Inga Ipsdottir Lilius for Sentimental Value. As much as I'm not crazy about that movie, I think her performance in it is really, really phenomenal and was the kind of main takeaway of that movie for me. Amy Madigan for Weapons has been climbing up there, has been getting nominations left and right, even getting a few wins here and there. So her performance is really, really phenomenal as Gladys in that. Glenn Close in Wake Up Dead Man is kind of a performance that everyone was talking about back when the movie came out, and then pretty quickly was like, okay, yeah, but seriously, like, she's not going to get a nomination. But I don't know. It was one of my favorite supporting actress performances of the year. Jodie Comer, 28 Years Later. Another one that kind of course, is people are like 28 years later is not going to get any nominations. But I think Jodie Comer is so fucking good in that movie, especially playing a character that's undergoing this mental deterioration throughout the course of the movie. And then one that I wish more people were talking about is Zoe Deutsch playing Jean Seberg in Nouvelle Vague. God damn, I was so charmed by not only that whole movie, but by her performance. Yeah, Zoe Deutsch in Nouvelle Vague I thought was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Go watch Nouvelle Vague if you hadn't. And then here are my actual predictions. Teyana Taylor, who just won at the Golden Globes. Inga Ipsdottir Lilius, I do think will get a nomination. Ariana Grande, this is looking more and more like it might not actually happen. So I might actually have to replace her with someone else. But I will do that off camera. Odessa Azion or Azion for Marty Supreme, who honestly, if I had like a number 6 slot over in my picks, might have actually gone in there. And then Amy Madigan. I think Amy Madigan is going all the way. Maybe not all the way, partially the way, because I do think Teyana Taylor kind of is. She's on a train that doesn't have any brakes. So yeah, I think Teyana Taylor is probably going to get that one. Let's move on to actor real quick. And this one should be a no-brainer. Timothée Chalamet, I think, easily my favorite performance of the year, or especially a favorite performance by any male actor of the year. Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, I would absolutely love to see an Ethan Hawke nomination. He is totally deserving for his performance as Lorenz Hart in Blue Moon. Jesse Plemons in Bugonia seems to be a performance that people aren't talking about enough. Jesse Plemons and Bugonia as a whole feels very low-key. Jesse Plemons was phenomenal in Bugonia. And I have George Clooney in here. I kind of thought I didn't put that in here. And maybe someone else should be going in this slot. But George Clooney, I think, is really giving one of his best performances in Jay Kelly. And Dwayne Johnson, we'll see in just a second, I don't think is going to get a nomination, but he really kind of blew me away with his performance in The Smashing Machine. So these would be my picks for nominations. Let's see who I actually have. And here we have Timothée Chalamet, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, One Battle After Another, Wagner Moura in The Secret Agent. After that win at the Golden Globes, I do think we can expect to see him here. Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, Jesse Plemons in Bugonia. And, you know, I'm maybe thinking here, let's just put this right down here, Michael B. Jordan. I do think Michael B. Jordan could swoop in and take a nomination from Jesse Plemons, and I'm hoping not Ethan Hawke, but I do think these 1, 2, and 3 are kind of locks at this point in this category. So let's move on to actress in a lead role. My top performances this year for actress in lead role. This was an incredible year for lead actress, the lead actress category. Jennifer Lawrence was far and away my favorite performance of any female performer this year. I have Jessie Buckley in Hamnet, who close number 2. I think she's phenomenal, and we'll see in just a second. I think she's probably going to come away with this award. I have Ava Victor in Sorry Baby, just a powerful performance and such a phenomenal debut. Can I say phenomenal more? Emma Stone, Begonia, and Amanda Seyfried and Anne Lee. Let's see who I have in my predictions. Of course, we have Jessie Buckley. We have Renata Rensby for Sentimental Value. Rose Byrne in a film that I have not seen yet, but I promise I'll see it before the actual Oscars happen, with as well as a lot of the sort of international features and stuff I have not seen. So I will see them before the actual Academy Awards, but she's gaining steam here. And there are some people who are like, is she going to perform an upset over Jessie Buckley? I don't know. We'll find out, but I do think she is kind of on track to be getting a nomination. Amanda Seyfried hopefully is really in the race. She's really, really stunning and gives a fucking phenomenal performance in The Testament of Anne Lee, a film that, again, I think has the potential to be entirely left out. But if it's not going to be left out anywhere, I don't think it'll be in Best Actress. And hopefully, like, original song. The music in that is really just phenomenal. Damn, I keep saying phenomenal. Emma Stone, I do think will swoop in there. I mean, the Academy loves Emma Stone, but I don't think that's going to lead to a win. And then we get to the big 2 main awards of the night. Let's see what we have for Best Director. Let's see what my picks are for Best Director. I have Paul Thomas Anderson, Richard Linklater, Josh Safdie, Chloe Zhao, and Ryan Coogler. Let me go right ahead and open up my predictions because they're not that different. I think the only difference I have here is swapping out Josh Safdie for Joachim Trier and then Richard Linklater for Jafar Panahi. Again, I have not seen it was just an accident. There is an argument to be made that maybe the director of Secret Agent, whose name is escaping me at the moment, but like, let's be real. Let's just cut all the bullshit. Like, Paul Thomas Anderson is winning this award. I mean, and when we get up to Best Picture, it seems like there's no stopping the One Battle train. I think that maybe Hamnet had a moment at the Golden Globes of being like positioning itself as a real threat against One Battle, but I don't really know that that's happening this year. I think that the Academy is recognizing that like this is the year that they're going to award Paul Thomas Anderson for not only this film, which a lot of people are praising and are saying it's phenomenal, and I'm not trying to diss that movie at all. I think it's great. To me, this is more of like a Martin Scorsese winning for The Departed situation. Like The Departed is maybe not even in like people's top 5 rankings of Scorsese movies. And yet it's the one that he won Best Director and Best Picture for. I do kind of feel like One Battle is like The Departed of Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography. It's not even in my top 5 Paul Thomas Anderson movies, but I do think it's the one that's going to give him his award, and he deserves it. He has deserved it for a long time, and if this is the film that gets him the award, then that's the one. Then that's what happens. Whatever. But Jafar Panahi also, having not seen the movie, has quite a story behind the actual making of the film and the actual struggles of being an Iranian actor, being thrown in prison, and for the making of this movie. I do think that a lot of that sort of narrative stuff goes a long way. And from what I hear from people, the movie is actually phenomenal and is deserving of any nominations and awards that it will get. I do really, really wish that Josh Safdie was more in the conversation, because just the more you think, the more you hear about the process of making Marty Supreme and a lot of the particular directing decisions that went into making it, it seems like a no-brainer that it should go in here. And Richard Linklater for Blue Moon, I mean, every single year I want Richard Linklater nominated, and Blue Moon, in addition to his work on Nouvelle Vague, I just want to like combine those two movies and be like, can we shower Richard Linklater with awards this year? I don't know why he's being left out of the conversation so much. I don't know. I'm just a huge Richard Linklater disciple, so I would love to see that. Let's take a look at my picks, and I promise this isn't just going to be a rehash of my top 10 films from my favorite films of the year video, but here we have them. Marty Supreme, number 1, Jay Kelly, Train Dreams, Hamnet, Blue Moon, Nouvelle Vague, One Battle After Another, No Other Choice, Begonia, and Frankenstein. I tried to take into account films that I think realistically could get nominated, and this is what I came up with. This is really my ideal list right here. I mean, maybe taking Frankenstein off and going for something like, what would I put in its place? Maybe something like Wake Up Dead Man, or maybe Weapons, maybe even just like, I'm just gonna edit this right here, because I mean, honestly, Frankenstein I don't really love. I'm gonna say Weapons right here. This would be probably my ideal 10 Oscars, and again, that is taking into account that I haven't seen The Secret Agent, I haven't seen Surat, I haven't seen If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, I haven't seen It Was Just an Accident. But let's look at my predictions. These are my official predictions for what I think will be nominated, and we'll see. I might have to do a little bit of work here. Yeah, so I'm gonna get rid of Surat, even though that movie is climbing in prominence, and I'm gonna put The Secret Agent here at my number 10 slot, just because I'm not really sure. But I have One Battle After Another, Hamnet, Sinners, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme, Frankenstein, It Was Just an Accident, Begonia, No Other Choice, and The Secret Agent, which is sort of interesting to have 3 films, 3 foreign language, actually 4 with sentimental value in with this top 10 here, or the 10 nominees. Not sure exactly how I feel about that. I feel like someone's got to go, and if someone's got to go, it will most likely be No Other Choice out of those 4, but I don't know what I would replace it with. If I had to replace anyone here, let's say, let's just live on air replace No Other Choice with Train Dreams. I do think that there is a real shot that Train Dreams gets a nomination in this category. I have it represented elsewhere, and I really would not be surprised if Train Dreams was in here. It pains me to take off No Other Choice, but the love for The Secret Agent and for It Was Just an Accident and for Sentimental Value makes me think that those are looking like they are locks in this category, with no one else really coming in to swoop in. I mean, yeah, I don't know. No Other Choice. Maybe I'll just put No Other Choice right here at like a number 11 slot as like a sneaky number 11 that could maybe swap out one of these other ones. Definitely not Wicked for Good. I think that we can officially put that to bed. Sorry Baby, I think that's a long shot. Yeah, I think this is going to be our official nominations list, if I had to guess. So there you have it. Those are my picks and my official predictions for the Academy Awards this year for the 2025 calendar year, which will take place sometime in March, end of February. I don't know. The nominations are going to be announced on the 22nd of January. So if you are someone on the East Coast like me, it will probably be sometime very early in the morning, and I will have a sort of reaction video to the nominations as they come out, and we will see if I was actually right. I'm feeling pretty confident about this. It's getting sort of easier and easier with all of the precursors and all of these sort of online discourse around nominations and stuff to be able to predict these sorts of things. And I feel pretty confident about this. But let me know if you feel confident in my picks and my predictions down in the comments. What do you think I'm getting totally wrong? What do you think I'm overlooking? What do you think I'm underestimating with all of these predictions and picks? Let me know down in the comments. And when you're done with that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out on this very channel. You can go follow me over on Letterboxd, and you can see what I'm watching when I'm watching it. You can go check out my podcast, and if you want to be a guest on that podcast, go ahead and send me an email at the email down below saying that you are interested in being a guest, and we will try to book a time to get you on the show. And with that, those are my predictions. What are your predictions? Are you looking forward to the Oscars? Let me know, and I'll see you all next time.